Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Hair of the Dog podcast. I'm your host, Nicole Begley. And today, gosh, for many weeks in a row, we went through a little Heather Lahtinen desert. And now we are like Heather Lahtinen flood. And I know you guys love it.
We've come through the desert into the promised land.
That's right. This is no mirage. This is
Right.
not a drill. Heather is back on the podcast for yet another podcast episode about our favorite thing to talk about. Gosh, money mindset, managing money, all of those things, because it's become such an important piece of success in our business and really our life. So welcome back, Heather.
Thank you for having me. Money is a very important topic. It's very necessary to run a business, even if you're running a nonprofit. Nonprofits
Yeah.
still need to make money to exist. So
Yeah. The
money's
word at the zoo is always no money, no mission. I mean,
right.
you need it.
You
Yep.
need it. So I had a money situation come up recently. And so
Oh.
not only do I need your help, but it actually involves you. What?
Oh.
Yeah, you don't even
Oh.
know this because I haven't even told you.
I know,
Okay.
yeah, this is okay, here's the little backstory. Heather just Voxered me and is like, "Hey, we need to record a money podcast." I'm like, "Okay." So we just got on and she says, "I'm gonna ask you some stuff." I'm like, "All right." So I honestly have no idea what's coming here.
Yeah, I need some help. But I do want to say this before I embarrass myself yet again with these constant money issues. I do want to say I have been making progress. And so I want to share something that I think I did really well. I'm like
Oh, I
really
love it.
proud of myself. And this also involves you. Both of these stories involve you. So a couple of weeks ago, I was in North Carolina and with you, and we were visiting. And one day we rented a boat, actually 2 days, we rented a boat to go out on Lake Norman, which is beautiful. And the last time we had done that, I distinctly remember being on the boat and you were showing me the houses and we were talking about the pricing of some of
Oh, yeah,
these
they're much more now, but yeah,
many, many, many millions, some in the tens
Yes,
of millions of dollars.
uh,
And I distinctly remember with a decent attitude, like I wasn't upset about this, but I was like, I can't even imagine this life. Like this life is who lives this life? How do they do it? Like it's inspiring, but I
there's a lot
cannot.
of them. There's 55 miles of shoreline. 55? 500. I lied. 55 was Deep Creek. There's 550
It's a
miles of
lot.
shoreline of those houses on
Yeah.
just one of the 3 lakes in Charlotte.
Unbelievable. Like where are these people getting this money? So last year I was very lack mindset,
Mhm.
scarcity, and I could not identify. I was like, how do these people live? This is such a life. Like, look at this life. And I was excited about it, but I had separated myself in a scarcity
Did you
way.
have any judgment towards those people for having that life?
I don't think so. I think I used to. I definitely used to, but
Yeah.
I've improved in that regard where I'm
Okay,
like,
so it was
yeah,
just, "Oh, that's nice for them, but I'm over here,"
correct.
whereas,
Correct.
never the 2 can meet.
That's exactly right. So
Okay.
this was a two-step process. One was getting over the like judgment and jealousy. That was a couple years
Mhm.
ago. I got through that. And I can be excited and think what's possible, but I still have this separation of for them, not me. This year, so this is just a couple weeks ago, you and I get on the boat and we are coming out of the harbor and I had that feeling for a split second. And I was like, who lives this life? And then I said to myself, Heather, you are actually living this life. Like you are on the boat, on the water, in this beautiful lake. Like you are the same. I mean, I may not have that mansion, but all of a sudden it was like what I did was I really grounded myself in the present moment. I am with my best friend on a beautiful day on a boat working. Like, could life possibly get any better? I don't think so, because this is amazing. So I made this shift to like, wait a minute, I am living that life.
Right?
I am that person because other people are driving to their office in their 9 to 5 right now, not on a
And
boat with their best friend, you
it's
know,
noon on a Wednesday, and we're working on a boat.
correct. Correct. And this was I didn't vocalize this to you because I was like processing, but I was thinking, oh my gosh, that's actually a huge shift for me because last year I was separate from these people. And
Right?
this year I was like, no, who's living this life? Who has this? I actually have this life because I'm here on the boat. And so that was a huge shift for me. And I just want to acknowledge my progress. I felt good about that. So
I love it.
thank you.
I love
Thank
it.
you. All right. So that was good. Now, the next one I still need some help on, but I did, you and I always talk about the first step is awareness.
Uh-huh.
I had an awareness also with you. So you have this super abundant mindset and just like you can make money, you can do things, you can buy things, and everything flows for you.
Right.
Just flows. I tend to hoard and like hold on to money and block it, where you're just very free and open and abundant mindset. So I noticed that you and I have a very distinctly different approach to the same situation. Example, you buy a new horse.
Uh-huh.
I want to buy a cabin or a tiny house to put on the property. Let's just say, for the sake of numbers, make it easy. Let's say both of these items are $40,000. Let's say the horse is 40 and the tiny home is $40,000. The way you approach it is like, yeah, I want a horse. I'm going to go buy the horse. And then, okay, fine. Let's figure out a way to generate some money to pay for the horse.
Right.
My approach is I better save up $40,000 so that I have $40,000 in cash in full to buy this tiny house to put on the property. One of these approaches comes from abundance and one comes from lack. And I'll let you guess which is which.
Well, I want to clarify that I would not be okay doing something like that if I didn't already have that money. So I like you would need to have it paid for
Ahead of time.
ahead of time. But yeah, I mean, we talk about these things, and there is very much like, I'm like, earn money, you spend money. You like, what's the point in having money if you can't enjoy it?
Right.
And I also, look at it as what are the costs for, leasing a horse? And my daughter's going to ride a horse for the next 4 years. And I did the math, and, then it becomes, it makes more sense. So then it's easy for me to be like, oh yeah, I'll spend this money on, on this thing here. Um, but yeah, I think the clarification is like, oh, cash flow comes and goes, and I have a lot of cash flow in out right now because
Yes.
I just bought a car because it needed to happen. Interest rates are growing up. I'm like, I just need to get this done. And I'm quite frankly not sure that my old car with its rust problem will pass inspection this year. I didn't think it would last year. And then, Lauren's lease was done on the horse she was riding. I'm like, I've got to get her a horse. Like, we just have, because I'm not sharing Rocco. I mean, so there's that.
Right.
And then the other piece is we've had this rental house we've been rehabbing since March, and it's getting to the very end. So I need to like pay the contractor, and we've just been spending so much money on this house, upgrading, redoing the whole electric, all the plumbing and the roof, and gutting it, and the whole 9 yards. So it's just like every time I turn around, it's like 5 grand, 10 grand,
Mm.
2,000, 600, 300. Like, it's insane. So yeah. So I've been questioning, like, I've been getting into, like, I start to get in momentarily, like, oh, there's a lot of money going out. Where's this money going to be coming in from moments? Um, because it's just, but then I remind myself, I'm like, it's just what it is right now. Like, this house is almost done. Then we're going to refinance it, take some money back out, and then like, okay, my savings is replenished. Like my savings, the money I'm spending on the house isn't going away. It's just no longer liquid.
Right. It's somewhere
Yeah.
else right now.
Right.
But it
Right.
seems to me that there's two keys here. Is number one, you have a higher tolerance for this than I do. And number two, you're able to tell yourself, well, this situation is temporary. I
Right.
don't love it right now, but it's temporary. And I get caught up in this like all or nothing thinking, this is the way it's going to be forever, and nothing's ever going to come in. And so, how much would I have to have? That this is the problem because I'm never going to have it. I'm not,
Right.
because other bills come up, things happen, right? So to be able to put $40,000 or $50,000 aside it's just not going to happen. So either I'm going to have to shift my thinking or just give up on a chicken chapel, which I want both. I actually want a chicken chapel. I want a chapel in the chickens, and I want like a cabin on the property.
Will your Priscilla head be in the top window of the chicken chapel?
100%. And people will walk by and it will scare them, and it's so, so funny. I actually, you know what I'm trying to find right now is the outline of a Yeti, a Sasquatch,
Oh, yeah,
to put in the woods to scare people because we live in
Here's
the woods and it's so funny.
I'm sorry, did you not see the giant, like, metal 6-foot Yeti in someone's yard when we went out to get ice cream when you were down here?
Did we s Wait, maybe that's where I got it from, and
Maybe
I don't
it's a
even like, my
6-foot
brain doesn't remember.
metal Yeti that's just like they have in the woods that is amazing.
I have got to get one of those. So you see, my list of wants is long. All of these things that I want, and I am so risk averse or so tight-fisted that I want all of this money in an account, liquid, almost all of it, to be able to
Mhm,
pull the trigger and say, "Go," and that's just not really realistic in terms of what I wanna do. I have to be able to leverage some assets and be okay taking a loan. Like, understanding that I can figure this out, and my scarcity complex is holding me back. I will find a million excuses, like the cabin. I want to build this cabin
mhm.
so that we don't have a spare room in our home until our kids leave, which is hopefully soon. But I want to be able to have that available for like when Craig's family travels, they live in Texas or just whoever is in the area. But I also want to Airbnb it. And then I
Mhm.
think, oh my gosh, our township is awful with stuff like this. They're never going to approve it. And so I talk myself out of it. Well, if the township's never going to approve it, where would I put it? What would I do with the septic? How do I get electricity to it? Should I get solar panels? And if they do approve it, should I just tell them it's like, they, they say just like tell the township you're building a shed
Mhm.
in
Yeah,
order.
well, I mean, it can be your okay, this is not legal advice. Um,
Right. None of this is.
I am not a lawyer or, any sort of legal advice person, but, yeah, I'm very much more of the especially for things like that. Like, you live on 30 acres in the woods. Like, you're
35.
not gonna
Yep.
be
In the
yeah, you're
woods.
not gonna be,
Mhm.
like, it's the same thing actually comes back around to I hear students all the time like, "Oh, my township won't let me have an in-home business." I'm like, "Alright, if you have a little studio in your house, unless you're doing high volume with 10 new clients a day, no one will even know."
Correct. Yeah, so I wouldn't say
Just do
anything.
it. That's one of those
Yeah,
things where I'm like, yeah, just ask forgiveness if you get in trouble, but I imagine they would never know.
correct. I have the same approach, and I actually have a friend who sat on the township committee, and he said to me, "Just tell them it's a shed, and what and
Yeah,
however you build it out once it's on your property, because you can order these tiny homes. I mean, you can even get
alright.
them on Amazon,
Yep.
and you just have it delivered on a trailer." And he's like, "Whatever you do after that is up to you. So if you want to build it out and it has amenities in it, yeah, I would." So anyway, I just all of these excuses or reasons add up in my head, and then I just don't do anything. And that's so not like me because with everything else, like in my business, I am go, 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 take action. But when it comes to large sums of money,
You get paralyzed.
paralyzed, like freak
Mhm.
out, like, how could I do this? This puts my family in jeopardy. And okay, which is not true, right? But then, oh, then I'm going to have to work more. And then there's more pressure to make more money because now I have this tiny house. And well, then
It's
what
a
if I can't
tiny
even
house, you're not building a big house.
See, this is what I'm saying. That's how you look at it. You're like, "Hey, it's a tiny house. Hello." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm building this house." It's I've got I've got to shift to this
Yeah.
thinking
Yeah,
of lack. It's lack.
right, well, and, there's a difference out here too of, this okay, let me just spend this money because I am just going to have faith that it's going to come back versus like, we're not just saying, hey, spend this money because yeah, it'll just magically reappear. Like, you
Right.
need to make sure you're making smart financial decisions. Obviously, you don't want to risk like the money that you need to pay your mortgage to like
Right.
go spec buy your Airbnb tiny house shed. But assuming that all of your like must need payments are taken care of and you still have some emergency fund, even right now where my cash flow is like, oh, those those emergency funds are kind of drained right now
Yeah,
because of these
very
past
low.
expenditures,
Mhm.
like gone. And like my property taxes are coming up and all those things. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like if something were to truly happen, like there's still other places that you can tap income because like I said, like I know that refinancing this house is 6 weeks, maybe a little bit longer cuz how long loans take. Um but it's in before the end of the year. It'll be refinanced and those emergency funds will be redone,
Back,
which
right.
then will be another another ebb and flow cuz we'll likely want to do another house. Um but I forget where I was going with that. Um,
Just make you were saying, like,
yeah.
make smart decisions, like, don't be an idiot
Mhm.
about it, which is why I run them by you.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, no, and it's just knowing, having some financial literacy or asking people that know personal finance well of like, what other options are there? Like, I know if I truly got in a cash flow bind, like I could take a home equity line of credit.
Correct, always.
Like,
Mhm, that's
yeah,
always an
am I gonna
option.
pay to take that money out? Yeah, a little bit more now than last year if, because interest rates have gone up, but, like, it's there. Like, worst case scenario, yeah, I have a Roth IRA that you can take principal out without any penalties, but, do I ever wanna touch that? No, not until I retire, but it helps to then feel a little bit more safe is like, "Oh, I know that I have where's like, I can get cash if I needed cash to pay my mortgage." Um, but like I said, not planning to do those things, but you have like just knowing that that option's there is sometimes easier to kind of weather the ebbs and flows of different cash flow seasons.
Yeah, no, that's solid advice. I mean, we owe 25% of what our house is currently worth, which means we have 75% in equity right
Yep.
now on our
Uh-huh.
home. So, yeah, we could definitely get cash that way. But okay, I think I know the answer to this, but question for you. Why is it with my photography business when I started, you if you buy a camera and a couple lenses, let's say conservatively, you can do that for about $2,000. You could get started for well, you could buy a kit for 1,000, but
Yeah.
$2,000 to $3,000, you could have a decent setup and start photographing. I would make money from photography. I would buy new lenses in the beginning and had no problem, like was totally confident in my ability to make that money and, become profitable. And the same with guess what? The fairy hair business. I was totally comfortable putting down $180 on fairy hair, knowing I was going to make it back. So these are obviously small numbers, but I had complete faith in myself to figure it
Because
out.
you didn't have any pressure for those two businesses at the time.
Mm, you're right. You're right.
Mhm. So like the first hurdle when you're starting your
Mm,
business is always, "Oh my gosh, can I make this work? Can I make this work? Oh my gosh, it's working." And then the intensity magnifies by 10 because all of a sudden it's like, "Can I keep this up?
yes.
Oh my god, it's all gonna go away. They're
Yes.
gonna find out I don't know what I'm doing. It's all just gonna go crumbling, and I'm gonna be destitute and homeless, and everything's gonna be taken from me."
Yeah, that's it. I'm gonna be on the street without food or
Yeah.
clothing. Yeah. That you're right. That's absolutely true. Because when I started my photography business, I was still working corporate. I hadn't made the transition yet, so there was no pressure. It was just,
Mhm.
"Oh, wait for this." It was
Fun!
just fun.
It was just fun,
It was just
just
fun.
like the fairy hair.
Was just fun. So I had no problem that again, the numbers were small, but I had no problem because it was fun. There wasn't any pressure. I paid it off. I think the magnitude of the number and like the pressure of, okay, you can't walk away from this. It's a commitment. Oh, by the way, have I ever told you I have serious commitment issues? Like for instance, don't ask me to go to the movie theater. That's 3 hours
Not
of
even
like
for Top Gun. Top Gun Maverick's worth it.
okay, definitely. There are some that are worth it. But I'm like, that's such a commitment. What if I get hungry? What if I get thirsty? What if I have to go to the bathroom? What if I want to do something? Like
You
all
can't
of the
pause.
I mean, crazy. It's a kind of a wonder I ever got married because of these commit. Okay, no, I don't have it's not that bad. I'm being funny, but I do have commitment issues with things that I think are going to lock me into something. So
Mm.
if my business is operating profitably, I could and everything's good, and we're making money. If I decided to shift or do something different tomorrow, I would be completely free to do that. I could shut it down, I could do something else, I could not. I mean, I have options.
Mhm.
I feel like if I make a commitment to like 40 or $50,000 and I go in, that I'm stuck.
But you already have saved the money, or you've already spent the money, so there should not be any more
If it was saved up,
need.
If it was
Yeah.
saved up and I had 50 grand, yeah, I would be fine. Because why? Because there's the freedom to change your mind or do
Would
something
you though? Because you
mm,
said before that you would never have enough to be able to spend that big chunk. Here's what it is, I think. And that is our minds need to get comfortable earning bigger and bigger pieces of income and spending bigger and bigger
mm,
chunks of money.
yes, ma'am.
Because, when you're starting off in your photography and you're like, "Oh, maybe I had a $500 client. I could never imagine having a $2,000 client. I
Yes.
could never imagine having a $3,500 client. Oh my god, I couldn't imagine ever having a 10K client." And then that $1,000 sale happens. You're like, "Oh, well, this feels like a new normal." Then that 2,000. Oh, this is a new normal. And then the 3,000. This is a great new normal. And maybe 10,000 is not normal, but you're like, "I'm comfortable with these outliers."
Right, yeah.
So, it's the same thing with spending money. Like, you start to, you know, spend some money here and spend some money there, and, like, you start dealing with bigger
Bigger
chunks of
numbers.
money,
Mhm.
which, also comes with as we get older, hopefully we've saved more money, so we, like, have more of a nest egg and retirement accounts and places like that, and we have more equity in our home, and so it's not nearly as scary as it was when you were, like, 23 and had nothing.
Yes, yes.
You know? Um, so I think it becomes and even if you're not actually spending it, like, my homework for you is not to go out and spend $40,000 in a
Okay,
salon.
thank goodness.
But can you imagine? Can you go look at your income or your bank accounts and be like, "What if?" Like, what if I actually took that money? This just came to me. What
Okay.
if you actually took your tiny house money, made a separate little savings account, and it had it over there? And then you kind of forgot that it was there. So it's not part of your, like, normal
Yes.
safety fund or, like, normal household spending. It's just like, I have this little savings over here, which is a good idea for any big purchase, whether it's,
Sure.
joining us in Spain in October
For
or
instance
Barcelona, just saying, a couple seats left. Come on over, everybody. Petphotographyretreats.com. But, yeah, whatever it is, like, you can start to imagine what it's like spending that and kind of moving that money over. It's actually another great exercise for doing this for when you're going from maybe, 9 to 5 part-time photography to going full-time, and that is, can you, just start shifting more of that money, like, all the money you make from your photography, just, like, pack that away into that little savings account over there, and then, like, when you're getting a little bit closer, can you essentially just like, "Hey, can I just kinda live off this photography
mm,
income and, like, just
mhm.
save more of my corporate income?" And so all of a sudden, when you're ready to, actually make that shift, then you have, like, this nice little nest egg of savings. Now, this can backfire on some people. Some people kind of like myself that tend to work better under pressure.
Yes, you
So
do.
if I have too much of a cushion, I get too comfortable.
Yes, you do.
So you need to know yourself too. And I'm not saying like, oh, I'm gonna go quit my corporate job and start a photography business with nothing's ready and I'm not ready to take clients and screw it. It'll work out. Like, no. We need to like plan ahead and make sure that we're planning appropriately. But just some different ways to maybe look at that.
Yeah, so know thyself, and then
Yeah.
how can I but then also how can I sort of push myself a little bit outside of my comfort zone? So I think what I will start doing is putting money aside into a separate account just here and there and thinking about it. I also am lacking clarity on what I want, and I know that's
Well,
an
there you
issue.
go. I
Yeah,
knew exactly what I wanted. I wanted a horse for Lauren, and I wanted a rental house, and I wanted a new car. So it was
yeah.
easy to spend that money.
It was. You knew what you wanted, so you had clarity of
Yeah.
purpose. I've looked at a couple different models, and I can't decide
Yeah.
what I want this to look like.
And these are things that have been in the works for years.
Yeah, right. It's not just a snap decision.
Right, right. And, thankfully I was lucky enough that most of that house was funded from my 106-year-old grandma who's still kicking it, living on her own.
God
And
bless her.
yep, for sure. 1981 when interest rates were I don't know, will they get there again? If they do, this is your opportunity of a lifetime. It was 1981. My godmother worked at a bank, and they offered for employees only and employees' families, just for like a day or two, a 40-year CD paying 15.55%.
What? What kind of craziness?
It was the early 80s. Interest rates were 15% for your house mortgage and everything else. It was nuts.
Wow.
Which, when interest rates go up, it stinks if you're borrowing money, but it's better for investing
Saving,
money.
yeah.
So anyway, so she put in, $500,000 would be amazing. Oh my God, I'd
Right.
be retired right now. No, she put in $500 for each of our, her little grandkids. And, in 40 years, it was about $200,000. So it was a great way to fund this little real estate adventure.
Oh my gosh, what foresight, but also she had to take action very quickly because you
Hmm.
said it was only offered for, like, a day or 2,
Yeah, and
so
they
it
were
was, like,
like, "Oh, wait, this is probably not a good
not a
idea."
good idea, yeah, but grandma said, "I'm in it to win it," so she
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah.
got her money, and that's amazing.
Here's
That's
the best
amazing.
part of that story. Over the 40 years, the CD has been owned by probably 4 or 5 different banks as different banks
Mhm.
merge and sell to each other, and, whenever it would change, I would always, like, go into the new bank and, like, check up on it and be like, "Hey, this you still have this. Let me see where's the balance," like, making
Yes.
sure that it didn't get lost, and, every time the bank, attendant would just be
What?
like,
Exact
double blinking, like, "Oh my god."
Yes.
And, she's like, "I'm supposed to ask you if you'd like to roll it into something else, but, I'm thinking probably no." I'm like, "Yeah, no, unless you
Yeah.
can beat that."
We're not touching that. That's amazing.
Uh,
Okay, so this is one area I just need to work on bigger numbers and
mhm.
also what I'm making it mean. So I have to be careful saying that I'm
Mhm.
stuck or this is a commitment or that I'm forced to do these words are not helpful, you
Yeah,
know? And but I'm making it mean something about what I have to do because of this tiny home or this loan that I take out or whatever it is. I'm working on it.
yep.
This has been a journey for me. Thank you for your advice and for everyone listening for coming along and please go easy on me. I'm doing the best I can.
I have one more thing here too
Okay.
that might help you change that mindset for like feeling like I have to go earn this money,
Yes.
and anyone else too that gets to the point in their business where like, oh my God, my business is working, I can't lose it. And that is to shift from the money to instead shift towards the service. So instead of saying, hey, I want to earn $150,000 in my photography business this year, you shift it to I want to serve 50 clients in my
Hmm.
photography business
Yeah.
this year. So for me, that like brings a whole different energy when I then approach anything that I'm doing in my business, when I actually focus on who it is I want to help, the numbers of people I want to help, and how me helping them is actually going to ripple through and affect, their lives and their family and everything else, their happiness. So we can do the same thing with our photography clients too. Because I mean, imagine how many people now you are helping that have these beautiful lifetime memories capturing the relationship they had with their dog. So
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Yeah, that's really good. Okay, so what I will do is picture the people that I can serve by opening up our homestead for them to stay
Mm-hmm.
and recharge, or they don't have to pay for a hotel. And then also, I do think I would like to Airbnb it and, because I have a lot of friends in the
Yeah.
city folk, and they love coming out into the country with the chickens
Mm-hmm.
and such. So, yeah, I
By
think that
doing your Airbnb, I think you could potentially be like saving relationships and planets, our planet.
okay.
So I think
Okay.
you need to do it
I
because,
need to aim
A,
higher.
people
Okay.
are coming out, maybe a little weekend away from the city, reconnecting out in nature, and they're out there in nature and they're like, man, like this place is beautiful. I should maybe stop using all these plastic water bottles. I don't know, just thinking. Might
Right.
be.
I also have thought about using it for like retreats for somebody
Oh
who wants
yeah.
to come
Uh-huh.
and maybe do a business photography retreat for a day or
Yeah.
two, that they
Uh-huh.
come on site on property and we can also have shoots here because that's what it's designed for. So there are different ways that I'm also a certified life and marriage coach. So we could have some
I
marriage
know.
retreats up in here.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, saving
Should have
marriages.
some.
That's what I'll do. I'll
Yeah.
focus on that.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay,
Yep.
it's just a
There you go.
mindset shift is what it is. Bottom line.
100%.
Mhm.
As with
Thank you.
just about everything in our life.
True. Correct. Correct. Thank you for your help.
Of course. Of course. Oh my gosh. All right. So what's our takeaway from this roundabout conversation for everybody?
That's a great question. Takeaway is you
That
get
you
used
can
to
afford
handling
your chicken chapel too. Like everyone can build their chicken chapel.
You too can have a chicken chapel. I think working with bigger numbers that was impactful to me is like, okay, I was comfortable with the smaller numbers,
Uh-huh.
which means I should trust myself and just with slightly bigger numbers and then bigger numbers and get used to that adaptation of I can work with larger numbers. That's okay. Leveraging money from other areas. Like I trust myself to make smart decisions. Like I'm not going to be an idiot
Mm-hmm.
and put my family in jeopardy and focus on the outcome or the results of what I'm doing rather than just focusing on this money piece and this, oh, I've got to take a loan and then there's payments and then there's a lack and it's scarcity, but just like shifting the focus.
Oh,
That's
yes.
multiple.
I have one more question for you. What does it mean to you when someone takes a loan?
Yeah, loans are bad.
Mm-hmm.
Loans are
Uh-huh.
bad. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So that's
Yeah.
part of the issue. We talked about that in regards to my car. When I had to buy a car, I had to
Uh-huh.
take out a small car loan and I was literally in tears over it because I'm like, I don't want to take a loan. Broke people take loans. I can't afford it. I'm stupid. I'm a loser. All of these things. So, yeah, taking a loan is a very, very bad thing in my mind, which
Which I'm
clearly.
pretty
Mhm.
sure just about every super successful and wealthy person takes loans on the regular because they know that their money can work harder for them in multiple
Correct.
places.
They know how to leverage it. You're one of those
Mhm.
people. I watch you do it all the time. You know how to leverage your money. I was telling my husband about your home and the rental home and the way
Mhm.
you do things, and I was like, she's really good at managing complexity, but she also leverages her money in a very wise way. Where I hoard it, I stop everything, I stockpile it, I save it. So as you can see, there are a plethora of issues and challenges that I am navigating
We
to get
all
through
do.
this.
I have my own. I have my own for sure. Yeah. No, that's good. But I think that is an important step for you too, is changing your outlook on what it means to take a loan. Like I know you're big on paying off your mortgage early, but we refinanced this house November 2021, 2020. I don't know, sometime in the past year and a half. And it's 2.375. Like, I will not be paying a penny of that off early because there is no way I will ever find income for that inexpensive again. Now, the money that I'm saving by not paying it off early, I'm not going to go like, blow on like fancy chocolate or something, even though that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, I will
Right.
actually use that extra money to invest in things like another rental home or, retirement, other investments. So it's not just like saving that money to spend. But it'll become easier, I think, as the interest rates go up for you to maybe be like, oh,
I should leave
well,
that
we
alone.
don't need to
Yeah.
just pay this down because that is some cheap money that we
That
borrowed.
is cheap money. Yes,
Hmm.
yes. Very well said.
Yeah. Oh, all right. Well, I love talking about money with you.
Thank you.
I think our audience loves it. If you guys love it, let us know. I would also love to know from you guys what you guys found impactful from this episode, or if there is any big purchases that you have coming up that you are super excited about. And if you have a chicken chapel out there, definitely tag Heather and let her
Let me
know
know.
because those are her like hashtag goals. So,
Yes.
all right. We'll talk to you guys all soon. Oh, and at flourish.academy on Instagram for you, Heather, correct?
Yes, yes. Please
Perfect.
follow me.
And
Get in touch.
yep. And
Absolutely.
at Nicole Begley official for me. Would love to hear from you guys. Talk to you soon. Bye, everybody.